When you think of the ingredients in baby food, you probably think carrots, peas, bananas, sweet potatoes. But something you might not expect and certainly don't want is heavy metals. Multiple reports in recent years reveal some baby foods are tainted with dangerous levels of mercury, arsenic, lead, even cadmium. These can be especially toxic to babies. The neurotoxins can permanently damage developing brains. In response, lawmakers have now introduced the Baby Food Safety Act of 2024, and it looks to tighten regulations and increase enforcement by the FDA. The bill also aims to set some limits on contaminants in baby food products and enforce stricter testing and mandatory recalls. Malina Malkani is a pediatric dietitian and child feeding expert, joining us now to talk more about this. Thanks so much. I mean, it's scary stuff, right? What we're putting into our babies' bodies is the most important thing to a new parent or grandparent. First of all, which foods in question? Are there certain brands that are the culprit more than others?
Well, there's one thing that parents can do, which is really helpful as a simple tip to help stay on top of this issue. And that's to look for brands of baby food that have been verified by the Clean Label Project, which is a national nonprofit that tests hundreds of products, including baby food, for toxic metals and contaminants. And the Clean Label Project verified brands signal to consumers that these are brands that are particularly dedicated to consumer transparency and already taking those extra steps to minimize any chemicals of concern in their products.
All right, so look for the Clean Label Project on the bottles. I'm curious why these toxics are in the baby food to begin with. Do we know the reason?
Yeah, well, what's complicated about this entire issue is that the issue of heavy metals in baby food is not a problem that is unique to baby food. It's a problem partly with our food supply, with both the organically grown and conventionally grown ingredients that are used to make baby food. Because, like I said, heavy metals are ubiquitous in the food supply. They exist in these tiny amounts in the soil. They can also be found in water. But as you mentioned, heavy metals in baby food in particular are concerning because babies have these tiny little bodies and very high nutrient needs, which makes them more susceptible to heavy metals during this period of rapid growth. A baby will typically triple their birth weight during the first year of life. And so they are particularly susceptible to heavy metals during this brain growth and development and neurological development. So these are the kinds of regulatory changes that we really need to see to help protect this vulnerable population.
It has me wondering why these changes weren't already in place. Some of these tighter restrictions weren't already in place. What has the FDA done to this point to make baby food safe?
Well, what's very hopeful to me about this bill in particular is that it's too early to say the depth of the impact that it will have on child safety now. But in 2020, when the FDA issued recommended limits on the amount of arsenic in infant rice cereal, the amount of arsenic in infant rice cereal was significantly reduced, which is a great start. We still have a long way to go, and we still have a long way to go now, even if this bill does come to fruition. But it is a great start, and I'm hopeful.
What are the baby food brands, the manufacturers, saying about the possibility of new regulations? Does it cost them more? Will it take more time? Are they pushing back?
I'm not aware of particular brand responses to this bill, but like I said, there already are brands that have taken into their own, they've taken their own initiative to take those extra steps and to be more transparent about their baby food manufacturing processes. What this would do is it would make it mandatory, and instead of, it would allow the FDA to be able to police these issues more effectively, because instead of voluntary recalls, which is what we have now for products that don't meet the standards, there would be mandatory recalls for products that don't meet the standards.
Giving parents some peace of mind in a busy world trying to raise kids right now. You can always make your own food. That was not a luxury I had. Too busy, but people do that, and that's a great option as well. Malina, thanks for your help. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.